5 ways to handle people who don't respect you. Stoic philosophy. Have you ever noticed how some people treat respect like it's optional? Every day we encounter those who push our boundaries, make passive-aggressive comments, or act like our time and feelings don't matter. And let's be honest, it's exhausting. That constant drain on your energy, that feeling of being diminished. It takes a toll not just on your day, but on your entire well-being. You might think you have only 2 choices. Either fight back and create more conflict, or just smile and let it slide. But what if I told you there's a more powerful way? Today, I'm sharing 5 profound strategies from Stoic philosophy that will transform how you handle disrespect. These aren't just quick fixes. They're time-tested methods that have helped thousands of my clients regain their power and peace of mind. By the end of this video, you'll have practical tools to set unshakable boundaries without creating conflict, maintain your dignity in any situation, and turn disrespectful encounters into opportunities for growth. And most importantly, protect your inner peace while commanding respect. The best part? These techniques work whether you're dealing with difficult colleagues, challenging family members, or even toxic friends. This isn't about changing others, it's about mastering yourself. And that's where true power lies. If you've ever felt your self-worth being challenged by someone's disrespect, type "respect" in the comments below. Let's see how many of us are ready to take back our power today. Let's dive in, because it's time to stop letting others define your worth. Part 1. The power of silent presence. Have you ever noticed the raw power of silence? In a world where everyone's fighting to be heard, true strength often lies in what you don't say. The ancient Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius understood this when he wrote, "The best response to disrespect is not to respond at all." Let me share a story that changed my perspective forever. Last year, I was leading a high-stakes meeting when a colleague deliberately tried to undermine me. He interrupted repeatedly, making subtle jabs about my experience. The room tensed. Everyone expected an argument. But instead of defending myself, I did something different. I simply paused, met his gaze with unwavering calmness, and held that silence. No words, no reaction, just presence. You could feel the energy shift. His words hung in the air, their weight falling back on him. Within moments, he began to stumble over his words, growing visibly uncomfortable with the silence he'd created. This is what Seneca meant when he said, "Silence is the most powerful scream." When you choose not to react, you're not being passive, you're exercising the ultimate control. Think about it. When someone disrespects you, what do they expect? They're looking for that emotional response, that moment where you lose your composure. They want to see you rattled, defensive, or angry. But what happens when you deny them that reaction? Here's where the magic of silent presence comes in. It works on 3 levels. First, psychologically, it creates what therapists call a pattern interrupt. The person expecting conflict suddenly finds themselves in unfamiliar territory. Their script is disrupted. Second, it demonstrates unshakable self-control. As Epictetus taught us, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. When you maintain composed silence, you're showing that their words can't touch your inner peace. Third, and most powerfully, it forces them to sit with their own behavior. There's no drama to hide behind, no argument to justify their actions, just the mirror of silence reflecting their choices back to them. But let's be clear, this isn't about being passive or weak. The silent presence I'm talking about requires immense inner strength. It's about standing firm in your worth while choosing not to engage with disrespect. I've seen this transform relationships, from boardrooms to family dinners. One of my clients, a senior executive, used this technique with a chronically critical board member. After 3 meetings of measured silence and steady gazes, the dynamic completely shifted. The board member began approaching her with respect, even becoming an ally. Here's how you can master this technique. When faced with disrespect, take a slow, deep breath. Round yourself physically. Meet their gaze with calm confidence. Allow silence to fill the space. Maintain your presence without aggression. The key is consistency. As Marcus Aurelius reminded us, waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one. Remember, this isn't about winning or losing. It's about maintaining your dignity while showing others that their disrespect has no power over your peace. You might be wondering, but what if they keep pushing? That's where the beauty of this technique really shines. The more they push against your silence, the more their behavior becomes obvious to everyone, including themselves. Let me be clear. This takes practice. The first few times you try it, every fiber of your being might scream to respond, to defend yourself. That's normal. But with each practice, you'll feel your inner strength growing. And here's what I've learned after years of studying both Stoic philosophy and human behavior. True power isn't in making others feel small. It's in remaining large enough to contain their smallness. As we move into our next strategy, remember this: your silence isn't empty, it's full of answers. Sometimes the most powerful response to disrespect is simply to stand in your truth, unshaken and unmoved. The power of silence isn't just in what it prevents, it's in what it creates: space for dignity, respect, and true strength to emerge. Have you ever used silence as a response to disrespect? Share your experience in the comments below with Silent Strength, and let's learn from each other's journeys. Part 2. Strategic Distance. The Art of Emotional Boundaries. Have you ever felt drained after spending time with certain people? That subtle exhaustion that creeps in even when nothing specifically bad happened? There's a profound reason for this, and it goes deeper than just negative energy. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury." This ancient wisdom holds a powerful truth about handling disrespect. Sometimes, the strongest move is to create space. Let me share a personal story that transformed how I understand boundaries. 3 years ago, I had a colleague, let's call her Sarah, who had a talent for subtle undermining. You know the type. Always questioning your decisions, making slight remarks that seed doubt, turning every achievement into something that just happened to work out. At first I tried the usual approaches, explaining myself, defending my choices, even trying to win her over. But here's what I discovered, and this is crucial. Every time I engaged, I was giving away my power. I was playing a game I could never win because the rules were designed for my failure. Then I remembered Epictetus's teaching. It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. This sparked a realization. I didn't need to play this game at all. Here's where the concept of strategic distance comes in. It's not about running away or being cold. It's about creating a psychological space that protects your peace while maintaining professionalism. Think of it like this. Imagine your energy as a valuable resource, like water in a desert. Would you keep pouring it into sand that never yields anything in return? I started implementing what I call the mental moat technique. When Sarah would make one of her comments, instead of rushing to defend myself, I'd imagine her words hitting an invisible barrier. Not in anger or rejection, but simply meeting a calm, clear boundary. The results were fascinating. Without my emotional engagement feeding the dynamic, her behavior began to lose its power. But here's the key insight. This wasn't about changing her. It was about changing the energy I was willing to invest. Seneca teaches us, the greatest power we have is the power of choice. This is where strategic distance becomes truly powerful. You're choosing where to direct your energy, your attention, your emotional investment. Here are the practical steps I want you to consider. First, identify the people who consistently drain your energy. Be honest with yourself. This isn't about judgment, it's about awareness. Second, create what I call emotional checkpoints. Before engaging with these individuals, ask yourself, is this interaction necessary? What's the minimum effective dose of engagement here? Third, and this is crucial, develop your energy preservation ritual. Mine is simple. Before any interaction with energy-draining individuals, I take 3 deep breaths and remind myself, I choose where my energy goes. But let me be clear, this isn't about becoming cold or distant from everyone. It's about being selective with your emotional investment. As Seneca also said, time discovers truth. When you create this space, you often discover who's worth keeping close and who's better kept at a distance. Here's what I want you to remember. Creating distance isn't about fear or avoidance. It's about wisdom and self-respect. It's understanding that not everyone deserves unlimited access to your energy and peace of mind. Think about this. How different would your life feel if you could maintain your calm center regardless of others' behavior? What could you achieve with all that energy you're currently spending on managing difficult people? If you're resonating with this message, if you've ever felt the need to create more space in your relationships, take a moment right now to reflect. What's one relationship where you need to establish better boundaries? Remember, as Marcus Aurelius wisely noted, very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself, in your way of thinking. But creating distance is just one part of the equation. What happens when you can't avoid interaction completely? That's where our next strategy comes in, and it's something that might surprise you. Part 3. Mindful response over reactive defense. Have you ever noticed how a single disrespectful comment can hijack your entire emotional state in seconds? That moment when someone's words hit you, and before you know it, you're caught in a storm of reactions, your heart racing, mind spinning, searching for the perfect comeback. We've all been there, but today I want to share something powerful about transforming these moments of reaction into opportunities for growth. The great Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy." Think about that for a moment. When someone treats us with disrespect, our immediate instinct is to mirror their behavior, to fight fire with fire. But what if that's exactly what keeps us trapped in the cycle? Let me share a personal story that changed my entire perspective on handling disrespect. 2 years ago, I was leading a crucial project meeting when a colleague deliberately undermined me in front of the entire team. You know that feeling, when someone's words are designed to make you look incompetent, and everyone's watching to see how you'll respond. My hands were shaking. The old me would have jumped to defend myself, probably making the situation worse. But something different happened that day. In that split second between his comment and my response, I remembered another piece of Stoic wisdom from Epictetus. It's not what happens to you, but how you respond to it that matters. Instead of reacting, I took a slow, deliberate breath. I let the silence fill the room for a moment. Then, rather than defending myself or attacking back, I simply asked him, "Could you help me understand your concerns more specifically?" The energy in the room shifted instantly. Here's what I've learned about mindful response versus reactive defense. First, understand that your initial reaction is not you. It's just your nervous system doing its job. Seneca put it perfectly. The greatest power we have is the power of choosing our response. When you feel that surge of emotion, that's your moment of choice. But here's the crucial part that most people miss. The goal isn't to suppress your reactions, it's to create space between the trigger and your response. This is where the real power lies. Think of it like this. When someone disrespects you, they're handing you a hot coal. Your instinct is to throw it back immediately, but that's when you get burned. Instead, imagine having the presence of mind to set that coal down and choose your next move carefully. Let me give you 3 practical techniques I've developed working with clients over the years. 1. The pause practice. When you feel disrespected, take 1 full breath before responding. This isn't just about counting to 10, it's about creating a moment of conscious choice. 3. The response ritual. Choose 1 anchor phrase that reminds you of your power to choose. Mine is simply, "I choose my response." Use it as your mental reset button. Now, you might be thinking, but what if I need to stand up for myself? Isn't this just letting people walk all over me? This is where another powerful Stoic principle comes in. As Marcus Aurelius said, "Be tolerant with others and strict with yourself." Standing up for yourself mindfully is not about being passive, it's about being purposeful. When you respond from a place of conscious choice rather than reactive defense, you maintain your power while commanding genuine respect. I've seen this transform not just individual interactions, but entire relationships. That colleague who tried to undermine me, over time our dynamic completely shifted. Not because I fought back, but because I consistently chose responses that reflected the person I wanted to be, rather than reacting to the person they were being. Remember this. Every moment of disrespect is an invitation not to sink to someone else's level, but to rise to your own highest potential. Before we move on to our next strategy, I want you to reflect on something. Think about the last time someone's disrespect triggered a strong reaction in you. What would have been possible if you had that moment of choice? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Let's learn from each other's experiences. Because here's the truth. The power to transform any interaction doesn't lie in controlling others' behavior. It lies in mastering your own response. And that's something no one can take away from you. Now that we've mastered our response to disrespect, let's explore something even more powerful. How to build unshakable self-conversation that makes others' opinions matter less. Part 4. Self-validation. Breaking free from external approval. Have you ever caught yourself seeking approval from someone who consistently undermines your worth? That moment when you realize you've given someone else the power to determine your value. Think about it. Why do we keep handing over the keys to our self-worth to people who don't even respect us? Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." This profound truth hits differently when you're struggling with external validation, doesn't it? Let me share something personal with you. 3 years ago, I was constantly seeking approval from a senior colleague who seemed to have mastered the art of subtle disapproval. Every project presentation, every idea pitched, I found myself scanning her face for signs of acceptance. The harder I tried to win her approval, the more power she had over my confidence. Then, one day, while reading Epictetus, I came across these words that changed everything. It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. I realized I had been giving away my power piece by piece, day by day. The problem wasn't her disapproval, it was my desperate need for her approval. Here's what most people don't understand about self-declination. It's not about becoming arrogant or dismissing feedback entirely. It's about building an internal compass so strong that external opinions can inform you without defining you. Think of it like this. Imagine your self-worth as a house. When you rely on external validation, you're essentially letting others control your thermostat. Some days they turn up the heat, making you feel worthy. Other days they leave you freezing in self-doubt. But when you master self-controller of your internal environment, Seneca put it perfectly. No one can hurt you without your consent. This isn't just philosophical wisdom, it's practical psychology. When you stop seeking approval from those who don't respect you, you reclaim your power. But here's the challenging part. How do you actually do this? How do you break free from the addiction to external validation? Let me share 3 practical strategies that help me and countless others. First, practice the mirror technique. Every time you catch yourself seeking approval, ask, would I trust this person's opinion about anything else important in my life? If the answer is no, why are you giving them power over your self-worth? Second, develop what I call your evidence journal. Document your achievements, your growth, your moments of courage, not for others to see, but as a personal reminder of your capability and worth. When someone's disrespect threatens to shake your confidence, this becomes your anchor. Third, and this is crucial, learn to distinguish between feedback and validation. Feedback helps you grow. Validation feeds your dependency. One comes from a place of constructive support, the other from a place of power dynamics. Remember what Marcus Aurelius taught us. Very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself, in your way of thinking. This isn't just ancient wisdom, it's a practical guide for modern living. I'll tell you how this transformed my own situation. Instead of seeking my colleagues' approval, I started focusing on the quality of my work and my own professional standards. Something interesting happened. The less I sought her validation, the more my confidence grew. And here's the irony. When I stopped needing her approval, she actually started showing more respect. But here's the truth that took me years to understand. Self-definition isn't a destination, it's a daily practice. It's choosing yourself again and again, especially when it's difficult. Ask yourself, how much of your energy goes into seeking approval from people who don't respect you? What could you achieve if you redirected that energy toward your own growth? Here's your challenge. For the next week, every time you feel the pull to seek validation from someone who doesn't respect you, pause. Take a deep breath. Remind yourself of your values, your achievements, your worth. Choose yourself. Remember, true freedom isn't about controlling how others treat you. It's about being unshakable in your own self-worth. Think about that. Let it sink in, because when you finally break free from the need for external approval, you don't just change how others treat you, you transform how you treat yourself. And speaking of transformation, this brings us to our final and perhaps most powerful strategy. Part 5. Living your values, the ultimate response. When someone disrespects you, what do they really take from you? Your dignity, your worth, or just their perception of who you are? Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury." These words carry a profound truth about handling disrespect that most people miss entirely. You see, when someone shows you disrespect, they're not just challenging your boundaries, they're testing your relationship with your own values. I remember a defining moment in my career when a senior colleague consistently undermined my work in front of others. He'd make subtle jabs, dismiss my contributions, and even take credit for my ideas. The easy response would have been to fight back or shrink away. Instead, I chose something different. Epictetus teaches us, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. This isn't just ancient wisdom, it's a practical blueprint for maintaining your dignity. Instead of letting his behavior dictate my actions, I focused on embodying my core values: integrity, excellence, and professionalism. Each time he'd attempt to diminish my work, I'd respond not to his disrespect, but to my principles. When he'd take credit for my ideas, I didn't call him out publicly. Instead, I started documenting my contributions and sharing them proactively with the team. When he'd make dismissive comments, I'd respond with thoughtful, value-driven insights that added to the conversation. Here's what's fascinating. Over time, something shifted, not just in how he treated me, but in the entire team dynamic. My consistent commitment to my values became a quiet force that commanded respect without demanding it. Seneca reminds us, the greatest power we have is the power of choice. This isn't about choosing how others treat you, it's about choosing who you become in response to their treatment. Think about it. When was the last time someone's disrespect made you question your own values? Did you let their behavior pull you away from who you truly want to be? Living your values isn't passive, it's the most active form of self-respect there is. It means choosing integrity even when others choose convenience. Maintaining compassion even in the face of hostility is standing firm in your principles without becoming rigid in your responses. But here's the key many miss. Your values aren't just guidelines, they're your power source. When you're deeply connected to them, external disrespect loses its sting because you're no longer seeking validation from those who can't give it. I've seen this transformation countless times with my clients. One particularly memorable case involved a woman dealing with a chronically disrespectful family member. Instead of engaging in their drama, she chose to live by her values of peace and authenticity. The result? The dynamic shifted not because her relative changed, but because she became unshakable in her own worth. Marcus Aurelius offers another crucial insight. Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one. This is particularly powerful when dealing with disrespect because it shifts your focus from reaction to action. Let me be clear, living your values doesn't mean being passive. Sometimes it means setting firm boundaries. Other times it means walking away. The difference is that these actions come from a place of principle rather than reaction.
Consider this. What would change if you responded to disrespect, not based on what others deserve, but based on who you want to be? Here's a practical exercise I share with my clients. Write down your 3 core values. The next time someone disrespects you, pause and ask yourself, how would a person living these values respond to this situation? This isn't about being perfect. It's about being intentional. It's about choosing your response based on your character rather than their behavior. Remember, when someone shows you disrespect, they're not defining your worth. They're revealing their limitations. Your response doesn't need to prove them wrong. It needs to prove you right. As we wrap up this section, I want you to remember something powerful. True respect isn't earned through reactions to disrespect. It's commanded through unwavering commitment to your values.
The next time someone challenges your worth, don't just react, respond from your values. Because in the end, the strongest response to disrespect isn't about what you do to others. It's about who you choose to be. If you've ever stood firm in your values despite disrespect, share your story below with Values First. Your experience might be exactly what someone else needs to hear today. Remember, your values aren't just what you believe, they're who you are, and no one's disrespect can take that from you unless you let them. Conclusion. As we come to the end of our journey together, I want you to remember something powerful. Respect isn't just about how others treat you. It's about how you choose to carry yourself through life's challenges. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus once said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you respond to it that matters." Today we've explored 5 powerful ways to handle disrespect, not through confrontation, but through inner strength and wisdom. Think of these strategies as lights, illuminating your path forward. Each one, from the power of silence to living your values, is a tool that helps you stand firm in your worth, regardless of how others choose to act.
Remember, when someone shows you disrespect, they're not defining your worth, they're revealing their own limitations.
Your power lies not in changing their behavior, but in mastering your response. Before we part ways, I want to thank you for joining me on this exploration of personal strength and dignity. If you found value in these insights, please take a moment to give this video a thumbs up. It helps others find this message who might need it too. And if you're committed to building your inner strength and discovering more wisdom from Stoic philosophy, hit that subscribe button and bell icon. Each week, we dive deep into practical wisdom that helps you navigate life's challenges with grace and power. I'd love to hear your thoughts and experiences. Share your story in the comments below with respect first if you've ever used any of these techniques or if you plan to try them. Your experience might be exactly what someone else needs to hear today. Until then, remember the words of Marcus Aurelius. The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury. Stand tall, stay true to your values, and let your dignity speak louder than any disrespect ever could. Take care. Stay strong, and remember, your worth isn't determined by how others treat you, but by how you choose to treat yourself. See you in our next conversation about life, wisdom, and the art of living well.